Oh, yeah. What is up, party peoples? Bobo here, BrassReel Brothers. Thanks for coming back for another episode of BrassReel Tonight. Well, I hope you guys are hearing all this all good, and I hope it's sounding good. I'm still messing with all these settings and everything, just trying to get everything just right. I think it's working good. I think I'm sounding all right now. Hang on one second. I think that's pretty good. So we'll see how this cast goes. We'll see how I sound, and hopefully I'm better than the last time, and hopefully this isn't a failed attempt. I think it's going to be good, though. Well, I hope everybody had a great weekend. I know I had a good weekend. I went to go see Old. I also saw Snake Eyes, which, oh, God, we're going to talk about that in a second or later. Also going to talk about the Old movie as well. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was very, very good. Pleasantly surprised. And it's the twist that always makes or breaks it for you with M. Night. I definitely enjoy all of M. Night's stuff. It's just one of those things. And if you watch my review, I've got my review out for it right now, which, by the way, if you guys haven't done so, subscribe to the channel if you're interested. And it helps us out. I've got all kinds of movie reviews on there. That's actually my cream of the crop is how I started this channel, is a bunch of movie reviews. And I call it hot, fresh popcorn. So check those out if you haven't done so already. And I'm also starting to do this BrassReel Tonight deal, a live stream Monday through Thursday at noon. So join me for that. Nothing but movie news and chatter. And I've got it situated on my homepage for the YouTube. It's sectioned off with hot fresh popcorn movie reviews and also the BrassReel Brothers live stream. And then there's all kinds of other sections on there as well, just to kind of section out the reviews and all that stuff. But if you haven't done so already, hit that subscribe button, guys, so we can help us make it to the top. But hopefully everything is getting situated and looking good and sounding good to you guys. And we're going to get started with some movie news. And welcome to everybody who's joining me again, my 6 to 7 fans, hopefully some international ones. Maybe not. Who knows? But first off, I'm just going to get into it, guys. Just getting a few things. And this is a little bit unfortunate. I'm not sure if you guys remember Jackie Mason. He was an awesome comedian from back in the day, 60s, 70s, 80s. He died yesterday at 93. I know him the best from Caddyshack 2, and I know him the best from The Jerk. The Jerk, I don't know if you remember that movie with Steve Martin, but he plays the gas station boss that lets him go live with him, that lets Steve Martin go live with him right when he moves away from his family out of the country. He moves into the city and everything, and Steve Martin lives with him, and, you know, that's where he's like, he's angry at those cans. He's mad at those cans. He hates those cans. And Jackie Mason's the one that's like, you don't have defective cans out there. You got a defective Python. And I just loved that guy's accent. The way he talked was hilarious. So RIP Jackie Mason. You will be missed. You definitely lived a good career. Say what you will about Caddyshack 2. Some people call Caddyshack 1 funniest movie ever made. Caddyshack 2 worst movie ever made. I don't think it's that bad. It's not good, though. Nothing compared to Caddyshack, the first one, for its time. Now you watch those movies now, and they can seem a little outdated. But, you know, some of the humor doesn't hold up anymore. Times have just changed. But for me growing up, Caddyshack was awesome. I just wanted to cover that about Jackie Mason, though. Thought, you know, 93, it's a good life, and didn't want it to get overshadowed by anything. Well, I'm going to talk about Snake Eyes for a second. And man, I don't even know what to say, guys. It was bad. It's one of the worst movies I don't know if I've ever seen. Let me take that back. It's not one of the worst movies I've ever seen, but for the money that they have, for the money that's at their disposal, they just should be able to do better than what they did with this. And this movie had Henry Golding, who looked great in it. He looked like he was going to do good. He looks like, you know, the part. I believe him. He's got the angry eyes and everything. And I mean, I can tell you right now, everybody's saying, you know, what's the future of it? What does that mean for the box office, everything? I personally tell you, I think it's dead on arrival. I think the franchise is over before it started. Now, I'm not saying they're not going to make any more movies. They might even have some contracts to make some movies, but they got to switch gears with this, y'all. This, I mean, I don't even know how to describe how much it was just a letdown. And the trailers look cool. You know, the trailers got me a little excited. Not going to lie. Look forward to some Snake Eyes stuff. But when I say it was bad, I'm talking the cinematography was like amateur, like somebody day one, somebody the first time in their camera in their hands, and they don't understand shakiness and all that. And it just was hard to watch. The action wasn't good. Even the stuff where there wasn't action, the camera was just like, it looked like somebody didn't know how to use it. The plot wasn't really anything to worry about. Henry Golding's character, yes, Snake Eyes is kind of a kind of a villain, but they don't really make you like him in this movie. They make you just kind of get like, that guy's being a jerk. And the pace of the movie is not good. Like, I remember when Transformers first came out, Paramount and Hasbro did that. The first Transformers to me was great. Michael Bay, say what you will about Michael Bay now, and I will totally agree that he's gone off the hinge and he just does crap movies now, in my opinion. But the first Transformers was solid. I mean, that was a dope movie. And they were really onto something. And I'm one of those people that actually likes the first two G.I. Joe films for what they are, for what they're worth. I wasn't taking them any more seriously than they should be taken. They're based off of toys. You know what I mean? So I had some fun with those, even more fun with the second one, Retaliation, that had Bruce Willis and The Rock and all that stuff in there. Like I said, enjoyed it for what it was worth. This is levels below those movies. I mean, I'm talking like, this is, I'm leery to say garbage, but it's garbage. I'm sorry. Like, y'all just owe us way more than that with a franchise like G.I. Joe, with the following that G.I. Joe had, or at least not necessarily the following, but the sort of influence in America that G.I. Joe really had. And with these characters like Snake Eyes and stuff like that, that are, you know, there's Snake Eyes diehard fans out there. There are people that are just like, Snake Eyes is everything. Like, I'm obsessed with Batman and Jason Voorhees and stuff like that. There are people out there that are obsessed with Snake Eyes. And man, I feel sorry for you guys, because this movie was a letdown. I mean, I wanted to walk out of it, but I didn't, because nowadays, the older I'm getting, I'm like, I can't really justify walking out of a movie since I paid for it. Now, if it's like offensive or something like that, it truly is offending me. And I can tell there's other people that it's like genuinely offending them. And I'm not talking about just like a horror movie that's over the top or something. I'm talking about if something's genuinely being offensive, I'll walk out of that. But, you know, if it's just bad, it's not well done, I kind of feel like I owe it to the disgrace of the film to see just how bad it is throughout. And this did not get any better while watching it. It doesn't have anything really crazy and cool to write about. It's not like there's just amazing action scenes that you're like, dude, yeah, the script was bad, but this awesome action scene there's none of that. There's none of that in this movie. So I'm going to go ahead and tell you, I'm not even going to do a review for it. I thought about doing a review for it, but all I would do was just bash on it. And it's not even enough fun to bash on. It's not like, oh my God, starting to laugh at stuff. It was just bad. It was just unenjoyable. They didn't nail whatever they were going for. They missed the mark. So don't go see it. I give it an F. Or as Jack Black likes to say, you know what I give that? F plus. So that's what I give G.I. Joe Snake Eyes. And trust me, I don't think anybody's going to disagree with me when they see this movie. I think everybody's going to agree that, yeah, this is not good. It's already doing terrible at the box office. Well, moving on. Now that I'm done bashing on that, this right here, I don't know if you guys heard of this little movie right here coming out called Midnight in the Switchgrass. I think it's actually already out. Okay, so look, Megan Fox has been pulling some stuff out lately it's like, all right, girl, you're doing some good work here. And I'm one of those guys that enjoys Jennifer's body. I think it's a guilty pleasure. It's fun. And it's kind of funny. We were just talking about Bruce Willis. Bruce Willis has definitely taken a little bit of a fall from grace, considering what he used to be in the 80s and 90s. And now just the type of movies he's doing. He's second role. He's not top billing. Like right now, he's second bill to her in this movie. Now, with that being said, this movie's getting great reviews. And so I gotta say, Midnight in the Switchgrass, I'm a little interested now. Now we all know that Megan Fox has always been just woo, definitely something great to look at. But I don't think that she's ever done anything that's really made me be like, all right, this is amazing. And now it looks like she's doing that. I'm gonna turn that down just a little bit. And I think Willis is a good actor when he wants to be, but he's also a bad actor sometimes, depending on the movie he's in. So I'm really excited to see what they're going to do with this one, and with the reviews it's getting. Hey, let's go for it. Megan Fox isn't hard to look at either. Well, moving on to some other not hard to look at stuff. We got Disney's Jungle Cruise coming out with Emily Blunt and The Rock, Dwayne The Rock Johnson. Now, look, I like The Rock as much as the next guy. I think he's great when he's good, but there's sometimes he's in a movie like Skyscraper. It's like I didn't care about that. I don't care about Skyscraper. I do like Emily Blunt though, and I think not only is she beautiful, but she is a top notch AAA list actor. She's great to me. And like I said, The Rock has some presence. Well, the Jungle Cruise is definitely coming out and it's getting a bunch of big buzz. And I found out about something today that I didn't know. I had no clue that this was the case, but this guy, can't remember his name. It's or say his name. It's is it Hom Colette Sarah Hom Yom Jom? So don't hate me if I'm pronouncing that wrong. But I didn't realize that this guy is directing Black Adam as well. So I'm pretty sure they're going to do a sequel to Jungle Cruise, which Jungle Cruise, like I said, it looks good. I'm excited to see The Rock and Emily do their thing. I mean, it looks like a modern day Indiana Jones hybrid with the Mummy or something like that. I mean, it does. They're making this movie off of the ride at Disney. I don't know if y'all realize this, and I may have said this in the past, but Disney's doing the opposite of Universal. Universal always made rides off of their movies. Disney's making movies off of their rides. So Haunted Mansion, they made a movie off of, Pirates of the Caribbean, and now they're doing this one. I think it'll be all right. You know, it looks fun. Disney, they make good movies. They don't always knock them out of the park, but for the most part, they make good movies. But this guy is directing Black Adam, and I'm pumped up about it. And he must have something working with Dwayne The Rock Johnson if he's doing Jungle Cruise and Black Adam. Now, this is kind of crazy because Jungle Cruise is a Disney property, and Black Adam is a DC Warner Brothers property. So nowadays, it seems like, James Gunn, all these different directors, and even some of the actors are just playing in both fields. And I think The Rock is going to be great as Black Adam. And we've been talking about this movie 8-9 years from now. But I think, look at him. He was born to be the character. And if you don't know the character, that's pretty much what he looks like. And now the reason I'm talking about this director is he's got other things under his belt that he's really done that's, to me, that are fantastic films. One of these isn't the best. He did House of Wax, which is a horror refilm reboot back in the day. Now that's a fun movie. It's not the best movie in the world, but it's a fun movie. As far as the other two that I know that he's done, and he also did Shark Tale, which was a good one. It was a good animated one. But The Shallows with Blake Lively, OMG, hands down, my favorite shark movie outside of Jaws. Like there's Jaws, The Shallows, then Deep Blue Sea. Yeah, hate on me if you want to, Deep Blue Sea, but I love it. I think it's great. So I'm excited to see what he's going to do because he also did The Orphan. I don't know if you guys ever saw that. Amazing horror film that was very under the radar, in my opinion. The story's awesome. It's a great twist. You don't see coming. And it's genuinely and legitimately and believably scary. So between The Shallows and The Orphan, I think this guy's going to do a great job with Black Adam. Jungle Cruise obviously is going to be a family movie, but he did Shark's Tale, and Shark's Tale did well. It was a family movie. It was very well received. It was funny, had a lot of stuff for adults in it. And so I think he's going to do a really good job with Jungle Cruise, but I'm really excited to see what he's going to do with Black Adam because of him directing Shallows and The Orphan. I feel like he's got a good film sensibility. So just touching on that a little bit. Speaking of directors that I'm not too excited about their sensibility lately, is Zack Snyder's Army of Thieves is coming out. And look, I don't care. I just don't care about the movie. One, because Army of the Dead was a huge letdown for me. I thought it was just not a good movie. It didn't have the right feel, the right tone, or anything to it. And the fact they're doing a prequel with it based on some of the characters, and this isn't a zombie movie either. This is going to be like the trailer's out for it and everything. And I don't think it looks all that good. I'm not pumped up about it. I honestly could care less. What do you guys think? Are y'all excited about that? Did you like Army of the Dead? I just didn't think it was good. It's too much like an MTV music video. Which, by the way, I was talking about DC and Black Adam. What do you think of this Aquaman hat? It's pretty dope, right? If you can see it, if you're watching. Well, now that we're talking about, since I'm talking about DC, let's switch over to some Marvel stuff real fast. Now, you guys all know that the Hawkeye movie is coming. The Hawkeye show is coming out. I'm definitely pumped up about this show. I like the Hawkeye character. I'm not near as excited about him as I am some of the other superheroes, but I do like what the stories happen within the Hawkeye world. And I like Jeremy Renner as the character, Clint Barton. Well, now the rumor is coming out with some pretty cool stuff saying that Hawkeye, the new show, is going to bring in a fan favorite villain. Anybody got any ideas who I'm talking about here? This stuff was just announced this morning. Now, we know that the show is going to have Florence Pugh in it because she was at the end. The spoiler alert, if you haven't seen Black Widow, she's at the very end of Black Widow post-credit scene being talked to by Julia Louis-Dreyfus's character, Valentina, or the Countess. And she's saying, hey, I need you to do something. And then she finally like, what is it? She's like, I just thought you might want to know who's responsible for your sister's death. And then she shows her this picture of Clint Barton, Hawkeye. So we know that Yelena is going to be in it. I mean, and if you look online, she's all signed up for it. She's all part of the cast and everything like that. I'm curious to see where they're going to go with that because I do feel that there's something going on, like I said in one of my past videos, with I think there's some recruitment happening here. One, you've got this whole shift in time happening with the phase 4, but I do think that there's some recruitment going on with another team, maybe the Thunderbolts, and maybe that she's going to be a part of that for a second. I don't feel like she's going to stay bad. I think that she will turn back to the good side at one point, but it's clear that something's going on with her or something will be going on with her and Clint. And we've also got Kate Bishop, who's going to be in this, played by Haley Steinfeld, the girl that was in the Bumblebee movie. And you guys might know her for some Disney stuff too. But one of the things I'm really excited about this movie is that Hawkeye is Ronin. From the last film, he was still Ronin. I'm assuming he's still going to be Ronin. He might be back in a Hawkeye format, but I kind of want to see him as Ronin for a little while. But maybe that was just for the in-game time because he does have his family back now. So who knows? We'll see what happens with that. Point I'm trying to make with all this, though, is there has been rumors confirming that Wilson Fisk will be reprised in that role by Vincent D'Onofrio, who played him in the Daredevil show on Netflix. If you guys ever watched the Daredevil show on Netflix, there was a little Marvel Netflix run with Daredevil, Punisher. Elektra was a part of one of the shows. You had the Defenders. You had Luke Cage, Iron Fist, Jessica Jones. So they did their little thing. It was kind of like an experiment with these characters to see if they worked. The ones that worked were Daredevil and Punisher. I thought those were great. But he will reportedly return as Kingpin. Vincent D'Onofrio will be reportedly, I'm not sure if he's making his role back as the same character from the Daredevil show. I'm thinking if they're doing that, there's got to be a reason that Matt Murdock has got to be coming back, and it's got to be Charlie Cox as Matt Murdock coming back. Now, like I said, everything that's going on with this phase 4 stuff right now, who knows? Are we going to be getting a huge time shift like of everything when No Way Home comes out? And then it just brings some of the other people from other universes in there because we know we're getting Electro. We know we're getting Doc Ock. There's been rumors that Charlie Cox is going to be Daredevil in there coming back, but nobody knows anything yet. And true to Marvel, when it comes to stuff like that, they're going to keep it on wraps and they're going to try to purposely cause a little speculation. But I think it's awesome Vincent D'Onofrio is coming back. I'm I don't think that there's a better person that could play that role of Wilson Fisk. Yeah, he's a little bigger in the comics than this, but this is believable. This is like I buy that this guy could be a crime boss, and I buy that he also could maybe beat your ass a little bit. And now it's saying by some people from Marvel Studios specifically, it's like, yep, we're bringing that Vincent D'Onofrio into the MCU. So who knows what's going to happen? There's Deadpool they got to incorporate in there. There's, like I said, all these other characters that people want to see and that were fan favorites. The Charlie Cox Daredevil was a fan favorite. Everybody loved that. I want to see John Bernthal back in there as the Punisher. I think that would be awesome too. Honestly, I'd be satisfied if they just put Charlie Cox's Daredevil in there, John Bernthal as Punisher, and Wilson Fisk as Kingpin. If they just implemented those characters from that Netflix Marvel universe, that'd be awesome. And then you can change all the other characters up again if you're going to use them. If you're going to use Luke Cage again, make it a new actor. If you're going to use Jessica Jones or Elektra again, make it a new actress. If you're going to do any of the stuff, Iron Fist, make him a new actor. So I think that a lot of fans want that to happen. And you've already had a lot of things happen in Marvel because of fan uproar. I mean, look at the whole Spider-Man thing when they were about to leave Disney. Now, Disney and Sony have a huge working relationship. But man, how awesome would it be to see this? I mean, it kind of just makes sense. Look at that imagery right there. It looks right now. If you're not, if you can't see it, I'm listening to, or I'm showing a picture of Tom Holland and Charlie Cox as Matt Murdock, and Tom Holland's in the suit of Spider-Man. And it's a No Way Home fan made poster, but it just looks like it works. Matt Murdock is supposed to be older than Spider-Man. And this interpretation of Matt Murdock with Charlie Cox playing him, to me, was the best ever. I mean, we've only ever seen the Ben Affleck one, and we've had a Daredevil from the 70s back in the Hulk show. But ultimately, this is the best interpretation of Daredevil we've ever seen. And I'm stoked about it. I couldn't be, if it's going to happen, I'm stoked about it. Let's hope it happens. And look, I got my Deadpool glass right here today. Let's hope that happens too. I'm pretty positive it will, especially with that Deadpool and Cord commercial advertising Free Guy, which, by the way, is getting phenomenal reviews. Like, all the reviews are like off the charts. That and Suicide Squad are both getting just top-notch reviews. And that's making me excited, man. I mean, Suicide Squad we're going to be able to see on HBO Max here real soon. And then we got Shang-Chi coming out in September. Then we got Eternals in November. And then No Way Home in December. It's got a lot of stuff coming out. We got No Time to Die. We got all Bondi Boy coming out in November as well, which I've been really waiting for that one. It's a good summer. It's going to be a real good summer. So here's to Free Guy being awesome as well. Well, moving on. Going to switch it up. We'll go to a little horror. Ended off with a little horror bit before I talk about the old movie. Oh, sorry to hit my camera there. So Jason Blum, you guys know who Jason Blum is? He's the producer for all these modern day horror movies that are coming out right now. But what he got famous for was the Paranormal Activity franchise. That was his main starting deal, is he's the one that launched that movie. And if you guys don't know, profit-wise, Paranormal Activity is the most successful franchise of all time. Profit-wise, not income, not gross, not how much they actually pulled in, but how much the studios made, considering they spent nothing on the films, especially the first one. They started spending more and more on them afterwards. But anyways, Jason Blum says that Paranormal Activity, latest installment, it's already done. Now, I don't know how you guys feel about that. If you're fans of the Paranormal Activity movies, I love them. I think they all have their place. Believe it or not, part 4, Paranormal Activity 4, is my least favorite ones, but I actually enjoyed Ghost Dimensions. I liked the marked ones a lot, but I want to see this new one. And I want to see where they're going. It's been a little while since we've had a Paranormal Activity movie, so I'm definitely ready to see what's going to be going on, what direction they're going, if they're going to tie it into all the other previous films. Is it going to be a reboot? What is it? You know what I'm saying? We don't really know anything about it. But I'm definitely happy to hear that Jason Blum has said something's going on with it. And I'm there for it. And I'm always, I'm a proponent for the underdog because that's what I am. And if you're gonna make these movies for next to nothing and they're actually effective, and I- you know, I'm one of those guys. If you don't know me enough already by watching my channel, I like movies for what they're worth. Movies don't have to be Oscar winners to be good. They have to be worth watching. Snake Eyes, not worth watching. Not worth watching at all. But so many other movies that like Cobra. I love comparing Cobra to it. Cobra is not, it's a B movie. It's a B slasher film, but with awesome Hollywood moments in it. And it's got Stallone and just all these just amazing tropes that you've grown to love about movies. And but because also I think there's good tropes and bad tropes. You got tropes that people use because they just can't be creative. And then you got tropes that people use because they're so passionate about that genre that they're like, we got to do this part in here. We got to do a classic, slow mo here, whatever. Because all those little things are tools that just add to what's really making the movie good, which is a good story, good acting, and good direction. And if you have all these other little fun things that are tropes that pile on top of those solid things of that good story, good acting, and directing, then the tropes become lovable. It becomes like, yeah, they did it. But if the movie doesn't have those three things, story, acting, and directing, and it's just full of tropes, that's when you can tell it's from lack of creativity. So, anyways, just wanted to throw that out there about that. And I like the paranormal activity movies. They're made for very little money and they're effective. I think they're fun, scary movies. And that's another thing. Do you want every horror movie to be like Hereditary type tone or like Midsummer type tone? Those are the same directors, but you know what I'm saying? Or like Rob Zombie's movies, which are just sometimes they're emotionally and soulfully stressful. Like Rob Zombie's movies can be even like kind of just gross and evil sometimes over some stuff, and there's a place for those type of films sometimes, but you don't want every horror film to be that way. You don't want every horror film to just have this one, like it has to be just really affect me to be a good horror movie. No, I think you can have a lot of fun with horror movies. You can do stupid. I mean, look at Fear Street that just came out on Netflix. Fear Street was a lot of fun. Was it quality? No, there was a lot of bad things about it. I mean, especially the accents in part three. Was it bad? No, it wasn't bad. None of it was bad. There was a lot of attempt. There was a lot of passion involved with that. You could see it. There was a lot of love for the genre in those three films. You could see it. But it's not an Oscar winner. But I still liked it, and I'll probably watch them again next year or something. Or when the new whatever they're doing with Fear Street now, they're saying they're going to make it like an R.L. Stein MCU, a shared R.L. Stein universe of some sort, kind of like to do with American Horror Story, and everybody's doing. The shared verse is the flavor of the week for sure. Moving on to some other horror news, though. This one I'm not so excited about just because I'm over it. I am so over The Walking Dead. I don't know if you guys are, but I'm done. I've been done for a few years now. Now I get it. It was the first one that sort of started off more of the horror modern TV, and everybody just really just like, I can't believe this show is, and it brought zombies back into the norm, and it actually brought them back too much to where everybody was just, we got zombie overkill, which I hate that when they ruin something you love. Same thing happened with vampires for a little while, werewolves. I mean, they just always goes in this theme. I don't know why it keeps circulating like that. You'd come up with some original stuff, guys. I'm done seeing zombie movies, and I'm definitely done seeing Walking Dead. I just don't think it's good anymore. I'm glad they're ending it. And if you can see the tagline I got here at the bottom, that they're finally, the new trailer just dropped, and it'll air in 3 parts of the season. Now they used to do 2 parts. And it used to be 1 part. Then they started doing 2 parts, and now they're doing this final season in 3 parts. I mean, I get it. They're trying to go out with a bang, but in my opinion, what can you do on this show that we haven't seen already unless you just jump the shark completely? I'm over it, man, because it's just the same old stuff. It's They find another colony and they have to figure out how to govern it themselves. All right. And then somebody does something to screw somebody over, and they got to figure out what they're going to do with that person. I mean, the to me, the last real good thing that happened in the show is when Negan joined. And once you got that character involved, then it was just like, all right, now that you brought some new blood in here again, but then that didn't last terribly long. And it's just it's become such a rinse and repeat formula of a show now. I'm not going to discredit the effects. I'm not going to discredit like what they achieve visually on screen. That's there. And the acting is good. None of that is bad. It's just they're beating a dead horse with it. It's like it's over with. I got it. My favorite foods, I don't want to eat that every day. I want to save it for the good moments. I mean, even Endgame, one of my favorite comic book films of all time, and I think everybody can say that. Excuse me, favorite superhero films of all time. It still is one of my favorite comic book ones, but I like, well, that's a whole conversation. But even then, I saved Endgame. I've only seen it like 5 or 6 times, and I know you're saying like only, well, that's a lot. That's not a lot for me. I watch movies a lot. Like Endgame, I saw 3 times in the theater, which means I've only seen it twice, 2 or 3 times back on Blu-ray. But I like to preserve the ones that are really good like that. And I just feel like with Walking Dead, they're beating a dead horse. Whatever was good about it is slowly being diminished because they're just not ending on a high note. Part of the reason Seinfeld was so good and is regarded as such a flawless show, and Friends as well, is they ended on a good note. Friends had like a season that was kind of but overall, they knew it's time to call it quits. Big Bang Theory probably would have been better if they would have stopped it at 10 seasons. They went 12. I mean, that's a long time. Modern Family is one of those side other shows that it lasted for 11 or 12 seasons, and I do feel like it was solid all the way through to the end. Every episode, even the last one, that one was just they had something that was working, but it was also part of the formula. You were watching these people grow. That was part of what you were watching the kids grow up. That was part of the appeal. So now, you know, with Walking Dead, you don't have anything like that anymore. You don't have anybody growing anymore. So do again, all these actors are great. I'm just over it. I'm just over the world of zombies because it's like I'm never surprised. I'm never like, oh my God. It just doesn't happen anymore. So you guys over Walking Dead like I am? I'm over it. So yes, I'm glad it's being not canceled. I'm just glad they're ending it. It's not canceled. Well, I guess technically on paper they do just renew or cancel, and that one's not renewing. But it's just ending. It's been on for a long time. Now, to some horror news that I'm actually extremely excited about. Dexter trailer came out today, actually over the weekend. I don't know if you guys like Dexter, but I loved Dexter. Eighth season wasn't that good, and the finale was terrible. But overall, the show is great. I love the feel of it. And we've got the first reveal, and it's going to be coming out in November. That is the release date. Now, to me, Dexter is some of the 1 through 7 is some of the best, especially 1 through 6. 7 was still good. It wasn't quite as good as 1 through 6, in my opinion. 8 was a little letdown, a big letdown, but that still doesn't make up for the entire show. You know, season 4 and season 6, epic to me. But all of them up until season 6 are epic, in my opinion. I just love the character of Dexter. I love that he's got this inner dialogue about him. I love that he's a good guy serial killer, which that's just such a cool character. It's such a juicy character to grab onto. Now I'm curious as to this one, what they're going to be doing is because he's one, none of it takes place in Miami. And to me, that was kind of the life and heart of the show for a little bit of Dexter. It was like Miami was sort of its own character in the show of Dexter. Just the grit, the heat, the slime, the evil of Miami, the drugs, the trafficking of humans, all that stuff. I feel like being up north, just not sure how I'm going to feel about watching that show without the Miami vibe. To me, that Miami vibe just added so much to the show. I'm sure it's still going to be good. They wouldn't be revivaling it or reviving it if it didn't have something that was going to be working. And I don't feel like somebody like Clancy Brown would have just signed on for it if he didn't like the script. And Clancy Brown, you see him in this new trailer, and I do like Clancy Brown as an actor. I thought, and I'm not saying he's not going to be the villain, but he's looking to be like Dexter's shrink in this, like his psychiatrist or psychologist. Um, Maybe he does become the villain, but I was thinking he was the villain, and I thought that they had announced that he was the villain. But one thing you don't see in the trailer at all is Deb, and she's been announced to be a part of the show. But that's okay if I don't see her in the trailer, because if she is, you know, the person, the ghost talking to him, like the person that was talking to him in the original show, his dad, Harry, if Deb takes that role over, that's cool. And they probably wouldn't have much of a reason to show her in the trailer anyways. But I wouldn't have minded to see some sort of just glimpse of her or something to confirm with us. And I also didn't expect to see John Lithgow's character in the trailer at all, but I am curious to see what involvement he's going to have with the show, because he is going to have something to do with the show. So I'm definitely excited about Dexter. I just think it was great writing. Loved the character. For horror movie fans, it was such a gratifying thing to blend superhero ish vigilante thinking with horror. And you got to see some pretty horrific stuff in that show, or thought about some horrific stuff. But every time, what was more horrific was the stuff that people were doing. So the people he were killing, their stuff that they were doing was way more horrific than him killing them. So that it all had this whole justifying feeling to it. And even then, you're thinking to yourself, man, I wish I had the balls to do what Dexter did. And obviously, I'm not serious. I don't feel that way. Just want to clarify that. So they released the trailer at Comic-Con. It will be coming out in November. Dexter is the bomb. I'm super excited. I can't wait to see what they're going to do with the characters, with the show, what kind of twist, if any. And I'm curious to see if it's going to be longer than one season, or if it's just going to be one little thing to wrap it up, because they knew that they messed up the last season. So I'm excited about that. You guys like it? Y'all pumped up? Sorry, I just got something itching on my nose there. Well, one last little talk about some TV stuff, and then we'll talk about old. The Chucky trailer has also been released, and this actually looks pretty good. Now, it looks like a little bit of a rehash of the original movie, just in a long TV format and in modern day times. It's not a reboot. It's still in that same timeline as the original films, including the first one. And Brad Dourif is playing the role of Chucky, at least the voice. But I can't help but think that the kid that's in it, he's like walking around with this doll at school. There's some things that, so it looks like it takes place at Halloween, and this kid buys this doll at this like garage sale. And then he starts taking the doll around with him. I don't know if this kid's like a practicing ventriloquist or something, because there's a show or scene in the trailer where it shows him on stage, and he's got Chucky like as a doll, like he's a ventriloquist, and Chucky's talking, but obviously it's Chucky talking and not him. There are some good one-liners in this. I think Chucky's going to be really funny in it. Brad Dourif is great. I love him as Chucky. I'm not sure. I can't tell yet how gruesome it's actually going to be. It looks to be pretty dark, but it does have this sort of like part 4, part 5 sheen to it. And when I say part 4 and 5, I'm talking about of the Child's Play series. Like part 1 was pretty dark all the way around. Part 2 got a little lighter in color and kind of in tone. Part 3 was just sort of this weird, different movie of its own, when they go off to this little, juvenile boot camp type situation. But then part 4 and 5, they started getting kind of silly, and they had this kind of, I don't know any other way to say it, but sort of this cartoonish sheen to it. And that's what this looks like. It might have a little bit of that in there. It just looks a little too pretty in some moments. However, it's just a trailer. I could be totally wrong. Things like music and everything can totally change all that. So right now, it does look like there's going to be a lot of kills, lots of good one-liners by Brad Dourif and everything. I'm excited about the show itself, because they've been talking about this for like 3 or 4 years now. And Chucky's an icon, man. Let's face it. Chucky's one of the best. He's a part of Jason, Freddy, Michael, Leatherface, Hellraiser, Candyman, all those guys. There's another one I'm thinking of. The tall man from Phantasm, Ghostface. All right, I'm going to stop. Anyways, Chucky's up there. He's one of the icons. I love him. I've always loved the whole killer doll thing like him. That's like a smart ass. Any other killer dolls? Yeah, they're kind of scary. Annabelle's kind of scary, but Chucky's just scary because it seems like he's thinking it out, and his mind seems to be like just sadistic, and I like that as a character. So we'll see him. Oh, and it also releases October 12th. This is when it's been coming out. So let me just put this up there real fast. Upcoming Child's Play coming out to Sci-Fi and USA. And when I say Sci-Fi and USA, I don't mean on both networks. Like, I think they're the same network now, and they produce shows together. And I mean, maybe they have always been the same network. Now they're just advertising. So Chucky is what it's called. Coming to Sci-Fi and USA on October 12th. And maybe it is on both separate networks. Who knows? And it is written and directed by Don Mancini, he's been responsible for it the whole way through. So it's his baby. He's going to be doing it. Well, guys, let's talk about Old, and then we'll finish it up here. One reason that it beat out Snake Eyes, as you can see, I've got this right here. It beat out Space Jam and Snake Eyes. Space Jam, I think it's just because it's its third week now. It's just going to get beat out by a new movie. But Snake Eyes and Old came out the same weekend, and I think it's pretty telling that an M. Night Shyamalan movie beat out what's supposed to be a blockbuster franchise, comic booky-esque, superhero-esque type property. You would just think that immediately is going to beat out something like Old in the theater. But Old did really, really good in the theater for its type of movie. And I don't know if you guys know this, but M. Night, he funds all of his own films. So the only thing he uses the studio for is distribution and maybe a little marketing. As far as him making the movie, he funds them with his own money. That's one of the reasons he's made so much money. And I think he did that with Sixth Sense, which made a ton of money. And his movies do make money. People go to see him. I go to see M. Night's movies because I do think he's a good filmmaker. He knows how to control the camera. He knows how to tell a story. And a lot of times I end up having an amazing film going experience because of the twist he implements into his stories. Now, a lot of times that's the make or break for me. And I say recently, to date, I'd say it's more misses than hits, but his hits are so good that I'm always going to go see these M. Night movies until he just starts putting out a string of just crap. Which for a second there, I thought he was going down that road when he was doing Last Airbender and After Earth. But now that once he did like Split and The Visit, those were phenomenal. Those are some of his best films, in my opinion. Glass was a letdown. Not even just the twist, which the twist was ridiculous in Glass. I'm sorry if anybody likes that movie. I thought the twist was bad, but I even thought the whole movie was boring. It just was a poor attempt at whatever he was trying to finalize there. And with Split being so good and Unbreakable being so good, whatever he did with Glass just didn't work, in my opinion. The Village didn't work. Hated the ending. Thought it was a stupid twist. Signs, loved it. Whole way through I'm watching it until the ending. Thought it was a stupid twist. Signs and The Village actually pissed me off because I didn't believe anybody would do that. Now, Old, I'm just going to tell you right now, spoilers to anybody listening, but I wasn't happy with the twist. And the reason I'm saying spoilers, you'll see why in a second. The twist, so if you don't know, the movie is about these people go to this like remote island area, this little beach excursion. And within no time, they start realizing that they're aging at an extremely rapid rate. And they equated at some point to you're aging a year every half hour. So like they're getting within a day, they'll be 50. If they're not already 50, if they're 50, they're going to be 100 in a day. So it was pretty pretty cool little concept. The whole way through, you're being taken on the ride. All right. M. Night knows how to do that. He knows how to really take you on the ride. He knows how to scare you. He knows how to get your brain going in different directions. He knows how to get you to speculate. And you're like, I think I got this figured out. Or he knows how to confuse you like crazy. He knows how to pull a lot of stuff out of his actors. The acting was good in this. The camera work is always good. All that stuff is there. The pace of it is well. Like it's the whole time well done. I'm enjoying it. But I can't help but think the whole time I'm watching this, all right, is the twist going to be good? And I just got to tell you, for me, it wasn't. I just don't. Now, this one wasn't like an unbelievable twist where, I mean, you have to suspend some sort of disbelief with some of his movies because that's just what his movies are, slightly supernatural-esque, you know? But this one, it's not that I didn't like what they were trying to say was going on, but it's like the twist is like they're telling you, all right, this is what's going on and this is how it's happening. Or this is why it's happening. But they're telling you why it's happening and why these people are aging at a certain rate. But that why and where it's coming from, they don't tell you how that is happening and what's the existence of why that's happening. There's no real digging to the source. Like with Sixth Sense, it was quick. You figured it out. It's like he's been dead the whole time. There's no like having to dig deeper and like, okay, but what about this and this and this? Okay, then I'm going to put, well, what about, you never did that with that movie because it just had no holes. Unbreakable, I felt the same way. You never did that because it was like, once you found out, you're like, oh shit, it's been him the whole time. I loved it. The Visit, oh man, quite possibly my favorite twist yet, because the scariest twist yet, at least, when you're like, that's not your grandparents. It's like, oh shit. That was so just flawless and just no holes whatsoever. This one, I just felt like it's like, all right, well, what about this? Okay, well, why wouldn't, okay, how wouldn't this? And then why didn't, I'm like, all right. Made a good movie, M. Night, all the way until the ending. And to me, that's what it's really about. It's not, to me, the ending like that can't really ruin a movie unless it becomes stupid and they're like, there's bad acting and they start implementing something that's just so outrageous that it's just like, are you serious? Like, for example, you know, and I can assure you that this happens, and I don't think that anybody, I can assure you this didn't happen, and I'm pretty sure that nobody thinks this is going to happen in Old. But there's no, at no point, there's no dragon that comes out of the water and starts talking to everybody being like, I control time. If they would have done that, then I would have been like, this movie's fucking stupid. But they didn't do that. They actually made a good movie, and the twist isn't necessarily, oh, that's a terrible twist. It's just more of a matter if you like the twist or not. Like I can say in Glass, I thought that was a terrible twist. I thought that Glass, that I just thought that whole movie was just not good. I'm not going to say it was like a bad movie, but it was not good. Like Snake Eyes, that was a bad movie. But Old, overall, I really liked it. Acting was good. The scares were good. There was some really creepy imagery. It had you biting your nails. You really like, what is happening here? But the whole time you're wondering if you're going to like the twist. And for me, the twist didn't pay off. So I just wanted to talk about that for a little bit. I also do have a review on Old. Check it out on the channel here, looking for my hot, fresh popcorn movie reviews. And that's going to do it for the show, guys. Thank you so much. Ryland was supposed to join me today, but he had something come up. I think he had to do something with maybe some vaccinations or something like that. So we're going to get it next week. He's going to join me next week or maybe some other time this Thursday or Wednesday, sometime this week or next week. So we'll see him later on then, though, guys. And if you haven't done so already, hit that subscribe button so you can help us make it to the top. Hit the like button if you enjoyed the video. And also look for my reviews. Right now, I just released my old review, so check that one out. And we'll hopefully see you guys tomorrow. Thank you so much for joining this, and love you with all my heart. Peace out.